The snow came fast and mean. William Turner hunched forward on the wagon seat, reins tight in his gloved hands. Beside him, Jack pressed close, 8 years old and trying not to show fear. Behind them, under 2 wool blankets, Beth shivered hard enough to rattle the boards. "Pa, I can't see the road." Jack said, "I know it." William's voice stayed level. He'd driven this route 100 times. But the blizzard had turned the world white, erasing landmarks. Swallowing sound. Beth coughed, a wet sound that twisted something in William's chest. "How much further?" Jack asked. "Mile. Maybe 2. William didn't know anymore. The horses fought the drifts, foam at their bits. Another mile would finish them. Then, through the curtain of snow, a dark shape emerged. The old church, abandoned 5 years back when the town built a new one closer in. William had forgotten it stood here. "Thank God," he breathed. He drove the wagon close as he dared, then lifted Beth into his arms. She was burning up, her head lolled against his shoulder. "Jack, stay close to me." They fought through knee-deep drifts to the church door. William shoved it open with his shoulder, wind screaming behind them. Lamplight. William froze. A woman stood beside the front pew, one hand clutching a traveling bag, the other raised as if to defend herself. Dark hair escaped from under her bonnet. Her eyes were wide, startled as a cornered deer. For a long moment, neither spoke. The woman started. "I didn't think anyone else would come." William stepped inside, kicking the door shut against the wind. Snow melted off his coat onto the stone floor. "Church is abandoned," he said carefully. "Didn't expect to find someone here." "Neither did I." Her voice was educated, Eastern. Maybe. Her traveling dress was quality fabric, but rumpled. She'd been here a while. Beth moaned against his chest. The woman's posture changed instantly. "Your daughter." "Fever. Came on sudden this afternoon." William's throat tightened. "Was trying to get home? Lay her down." The woman gestured to the pew she'd patted with her cloak. "How long has she had it?" 3, 4 hours. "Is the lady staying with us, Pa?" Jack asked, stamping snow off his boots. William met the woman's eyes across the lamplight. Her fear had shifted to something else calculation. Maybe weighing risks. "I'm Lydia," she said finally. "Lydia Brennan. William Turner. This is Jack. The sick one's Beth." Lydia nodded slowly. Outside, the wind howled like all the wolves in creation. "I suppose," she said quietly. "We're all staying together tonight." William laid Beth on the makeshift bed. The child's skin was fire-hot. "I need to see to the horses," he said, "or we'll have no way home when this breaks." "Go!" Lydia was already kneeling beside Beth, one hand on the girl's forehead. "I'll watch her." William hesitated. Everything in him rebelled at leaving his children with a stranger. But the horses would die in this cold. "Jack, you stay here." "Yes, Pa." William pushed back into the storm. When he returned 20 minutes later, half frozen, Lydia had coaxed the lamp brighter and wrapped Beth in her own shawl. Jack sat on the floor beside them, watching the woman with open curiosity. "She's resting," Lydia said. "But the fever's high." William crouched beside his daughter. Beth's breath came quick and shallow. "There's a doctor in town," he said. "But in this storm, we're not going anywhere tonight." Lydia's tone was certain. "None of us." William looked at her then, really looked. She held herself carefully, like someone carrying an injury no one could see. Her left wrist had a yellow-green bruise, half hidden by her sleeve. "Why were you here?" he asked. "Alone in an abandoned church." Lydia's jaw tightened. I was traveling. The storm caught me too. It wasn't the whole truth. William could hear it in her voice. But he was too tired and too scared for Beth to press. Well, he said, seems we're all snowed in together. Lydia met his eyes. For a moment, something passed between them two strangers, both running from something, both trapped by the same storm. She nodded once. Temporary truce. Outside, the Christmas Eve wind screamed on. William didn't sleep. He sat beside Beth through the dark hours, one hand on her burning forehead, while Lydia dozed sitting up against the pew behind them. Jack had curled on the floor, wrapped in William's coat, snoring softly. The wind shook the boarded windows. Snow sifted through cracks in the walls. Beth whimpered in her sleep. Mama. William's chest constricted. Sarah had been gone 2 years. The fever that took her had started just like this. Hush now, he whispered. Pause here. But Beth thrashed, tangling in the blankets. Her skin blazed hotter. William's hands started shaking. He'd been helpless then, too. Watched Sarah burn and fade and slip away. And there'd been nothing, Mr. Turner. Lydia was awake, kneeling beside him. Dawn light filtered gray through the window gaps. Let me see her. William wanted to refuse. Wanted to hold his daughter close and will her well through sheer desperation. But Lydia's voice carried something his didn't calm certainty. He moved back. Lydia pressed 2 fingers to Beth's throat, counting. Then she lifted the child's eyelids gently. Checking. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency. Have you any willow bark? She asked. No. Whiskey, your saddlebag, not much. Bring it, and snow. As much as you can carry clean? William stumbled up, grateful for orders to follow. Jack stirred. Pa. Stay with your sister. He retrieved the whiskey flask in his largest pot, then pushed outside. The storm had eased to steady snowfall, but drifts reached the church eaves. He scooped clean snow until the pot overflowed. When he returned, Lydia had unwrapped Beth completely despite the cold. We have to bring the fever down, she said. She's too hot. It'll damage her if we don't. She mixed whiskey with melted snow, then used William's handkerchief to apply it to Beth's forehead, neck, and wrists. The child moaned but didn't wake. How do you know this? William asked. I trained as a nurse. Before... Lydia stopped. I've seen fever like this before. And... Lydia met his eyes. Some fight through, some don't, but we can help her fight. It was honest. At least, William appreciated that more than false comfort. Tell me what to do. They worked through the morning. Lydia sent Jack out for more snow every half hour. She made William lift Beth to keep her head elevated. She trickled water between the child's cracked lips. Drop by patient drop. Talk to her, Lydia said. Let her hear your voice. So William talked. Told Beth about the new calf born last spring. About the wild roses growing by the creek. About how Jack had learned to whistle just to annoy him. His throat ached with unshed tears, but he kept talking. Jack helped without being asked, fetching and carrying, his young face solemn. Around noon, Beth's eyes fluttered open. Pa, I'm here. Little bit. I'm cold. William nearly laughed with relief. Cold meant the fever was breaking. Lydia wrapped Beth in every blanket they had. Small sips, she said, holding a cup to Beth's lips. Slow. Beth drank, then fell back asleep. But this sleep was different, deeper, more natural. She'll mend, Lydia said quietly. The worst is past. William had to look away. His eyes burned. Thank you, he managed. You're welcome. Jack threw his arms around Lydia's waist. You saved her. Lydia went very still. Then, slowly, she hugged him back. When William looked at her again, Tears tracked down her face. She turned away quickly, wiping them. I should rest now, if you don't mind watching her. Of course. Lydia moved to the far pew and sat, her back against the wall, within minutes. Exhaustion claimed her. William watched her sleep. She'd worked through the night without complaint, using skills she'd learned God knew where, to save a stranger's child. He pulled off his heavy coat and laid it gently over her. She didn't wake, but something in her face softened. Outside, the snow fell steady and quiet. They were still trapped, but for the first time since the storm hit, William felt something besides fear. The second day passed in strange intimacy. Beth woke properly around midday, weak but clear-eyed. She ate the cornbread from Lydia's pack in tiny bites, drank the weak tea Lydia made from herbs in her bag. "Where's Mama?" Beth asked once. William's throat closed. "Your mama's with the angels, honey," Lydia said gently. "Has been for a while now." "Oh." Beth considered this. "I forget sometimes." "That's all right." The storm hadn't broken. If anything, the snow fell thicker. William checked on the horses they were surviving in the church's lean-to, but barely. Another day, maybe two, and they'd need real shelter. By evening, they'd settled into something like routine. William rationed the food they had between them. Jack read aloud from the small Bible in Lydia's bag, stumbling over words. Lydia helped him sound them out. "You read well for your age," she told Jack. "Mama taught me before." "She taught you well." William whittled, shaping a piece of scrap wood into a small horse for Beth. His hands needed work to stay steady. "How'd your wife pass?" Lydia asked quietly. "If you don't mind saying," William's knife stilled. "Fever. Winter like this. Doc couldn't get through the snow. I'm sorry. 2 years now." He started whittling again. "Thought I'd managed all right. The ranch runs fine. Kids are fed and clothed and warm. But they're growing up without softness." The words came hard, without a woman's touch. "Beth cries sometimes at night, and I don't know what to say. Jack asked me last month when we'd have a mama again." "What did you tell him?" "Nothing. Didn't have an answer." Lydia was quiet for a long moment. Outside, wind rattled the walls. "I was supposed to marry," she said finally. "Martin Creedon. My father arranged it." "You're running from him?" "Yes." "Why?" Lydia's hand moved unconsciously to the bruise on her wrist. "He's respected, wealthy. Everyone says I should be grateful." Her voice went flat. "But I saw how he treated his horses, his workers, everything he touches, he controls, breaks to his will. And you wouldn't break." "I won't." Steel entered her tone. "I'd rather freeze in an abandoned church than become his property." William nodded slowly. He understood that kind of pride. The kind that chose hard freedom over soft cages. "Where were you headed?" he asked. "West. Somewhere he won't find me. I thought maybe I could teach. I'm educated. I know reading, writing, numbers. Women need those skills." "They do," William agreed. "Not many who'll teach them, though. Then I'll be one who does." Beth called out softly, and Lydia went to her immediately. She helped the child sit up, checked her temperature, smoothed her tangled hair. Beth leaned into the touch like a flower toward sun. Jack watched too. Something hungry in his young face. William felt it in his own chest that ache for gentleness. His cabin was clean and functional, but it hadn't been a home since Sarah died. Just a place to sleep between work. "Will you stay when the snow stops?" Jack asked suddenly. Lydia's hand stilled in Beth's hair. I have to keep moving. Jack, we won't because the man I was supposed to marry will look for me, and I can't let him find me." "Pa wouldn't let him hurt you," Jack said with a child's certainty. Lydia's eyes found William's across the lamplight. He should say something practical. Something about how she had her path and he had his. How they were strangers thrown together by chance. Nothing more. Instead, he said, "What if you didn't have to run? What if you had protection?" Protection. Lydia's voice was careful. A home. A place he couldn't reach you. The air between them changed, charged with possibility. "Why would you offer that?" Lydia asked. "Because my kids need what you gave Beth today. And because..." William stopped, searching for words. "Because maybe we all need each other." Before Lydia could answer, the church bell in the tower, untouched for years, suddenly rang once. The wind had caught it. They all jumped. Then Jack laughed, and Beth giggled, and even Lydia smiled. "It's Christmas," Jack said, wonder in his voice. "Christmas Eve tomorrow." William checked his counting. "The boy was right. We should celebrate," Lydia said softly. "Even here." So they made Christmas from nothing. Jack carved a star from bark while William shaped small animals. Lydia tied her hair ribbon in a bow. Beth, still weak, directed them where to place things. William pulled out his harmonica and played Silent Night. His fingers were stiff from cold, but the notes carried sweet and clear. Lydia's eyes shone with unshed tears. When the children finally slept, William and Lydia sat in the lamplight's edge. "I can't promise Martin won't come," she said quietly. "If you're serious about offering protection, let him come." William's voice was low but certain. "He'll find you're not alone anymore." Lydia looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded once. Outside, the Christmas Eve wind sang promises through the rafters. The third morning broke clear. William woke to pale sunlight streaming through gaps in the boards. The wind had died. Through a crack, he could see blue sky. The storm was passing. Lydia was already awake, braiding Beth's hair. The child leaned against her, still drowsy. "Road might be passable by afternoon," William said. Something tightened in Lydia's expression. "That's good." But neither of them sounded convinced. Jack pressed his face to a window gap. "There's so much snow. Pa, higher than me. We'll manage." They ate the last of the food in silence. William tried to plan the horses would need water, rest before the journey. The cabin was another 3 miles beyond where the wagon stood. Hard miles in this snow. Beth coughed, and Lydia was beside her instantly. "I'm all right," Beth said. "Just tickles." "Let me check anyway." Lydia felt the girl's forehead, listened to her breathing. "You're mending well, but you'll need care for another week at least." "Will you come home with us?" Beth asked. Lydia hesitated. Please." Beth's eyes were huge. "You make the bad dreams go away." William saw Lydia's composure crack. She pulled Beth close. "We'll see. Sweetheart." Jack helped William ready the horses. The animals were weak but alive. They'd make it home if they moved slow. "Do you think Miss Lydia will stay?" Jack asked quietly. "Don't know, son. I want her to." "I know." "Do you..." William looked at his boy, 8 years old and trying to understand a complicated world. "Yeah," William said. "I do." By noon, they were ready. William loaded Beth carefully into the wagon bed, wrapped in every blanket. Jack climbed up front. Lydia stood beside her small bag, looking at the church that had sheltered them. "Coming?" William asked. She turned. "Where?" "Home. To my cabin." He kept his voice level. "Beth needs care. You need somewhere safe. Makes sense. Just like that." Not expecting anything, William said quickly. "Separate room. respect. But if Martin's hunting you, you need somewhere he can't reach, and my kids need. He stopped. What? Someone like you? The words came rough. They need someone who'll answer Beth's questions and check Jack's reading and remember their mother sang hymns while she worked. Lydia's eyes filled. You're asking me to help raise your children. Asking you to stay alive and let us help keep you that way. The rest. William shrugged. The rest works itself out. Lydia looked at Beth, who watched hopefully from the wagon. At Jack, who'd stopped pretending not to listen. All right, she said quietly. For now. Relief flooded William's chest. He lifted her bag into the wagon. The journey home took hours. They moved at a crawl through drifts, the horses straining. But the sky stayed clear, the sun bright on endless white. Beth fell asleep against Lydia's shoulder. Lydia hummed that same hymn from before and smoothed the child's hair. William drove and tried not to hope too hard. They reached the cabin as the sun touched the western peaks. It wasn't much, 2 rooms, a stone fireplace, a porch that needed fixing, but it was solid and warm and home. Jack jumped down and ran ahead. We're here. William helped Lydia from the wagon. Their hands touched briefly, even through gloves. Something passed between them. Welcome, he said. Lydia looked at the cabin, the barn beyond, the mountains rising behind. Her expression was unreadable. Then she smiled, small but real. Thank you, she said, for giving me somewhere to land. They got Beth inside and settled. William built up the fire while Lydia explored the cabin, taking inventory of supplies, noting what was needed. You keep things organized, she said. Tried to. Sarah was better at it. Where should I sleep? William gestured to the small room off the main space. That was Sarah's sewing room. There's a bed. And you loft with the kids. Unless winter's hard, then I sleep by the fire. Lydia nodded. Proper, respectful. That night. William made stew from venison and winter vegetables. It wasn't fancy, but it filled their bellies. Beth insisted on sitting at the table, though she could barely hold her spoon. Because we're all together, she said, after dinner. Lydia washed dishes while William tucked the children into bed. She's nice, Pa. Beth whispered, Can she stay forever? We'll see. Little bit. I prayed for someone to help us. Do you think God sent her? William looked down at his daughter's trusting face. Maybe he did. When he came back downstairs, Lydia stood by the fire, staring into the flames. Second thoughts, he asked gently. 100 of them. She turned. But staying here feels right anyway. Martin will come eventually. I know. I meant what I said. He'll find you're not alone. What? Lydia asked. No, why risk that for a stranger? William chose his words carefully. Because Beth's alive because of you. Because Jack smiled today for the first time in months. And because... He stopped. Because you look at my home like it could be yours too. And I've been alone long enough to recognize the same look on someone else. Lydia held his gaze. Outside, coyotes yipped in the distance. I'll earn my keep, she said finally. Teach the children. Help with the house. I won't be a burden. You're not a burden. You're... William searched for the word. You're an answer. Something shifted in Lydia's expression. Hope. Fragile and new. Then I'll stay, she said, for as long as I can. It wasn't forever, but it was a start. 4 weeks passed like a dream. January brought clear cold and bitter winds, but inside the cabin, warmth grew. Lydia transformed the space without William quite noticing how curtains appeared on the windows. Carved from her spare dress, the lamp burned later, softer. Bread rose on the hearth every morning. She taught the children at the kitchen table, Reading, writing, sums. Jack flourished under her attention. Beth struggled but tried hard, wanting to please Miss Lydia. William caught himself watching her, the way she moved through his home with quiet confidence, how she hummed while working, the laugh she'd developed low and unexpected and lovely. The town accepted her presence after initial surprise. Williams intended. They called her, though no formal arrangement existed. Lydia visited the mercantile and came back thoughtful. The owner's wife can't read. She said, "Neither can the blacksmith's daughter. They asked if I'd teach them." "Will you, if you don't mind?" "Why would I mind? It's your home, your reputation." "It's your home too now," William said. "Do what feels right." So twice a week, women came to the cabin. They sat around the table, pencils awkward in work-hardened hands, learning letters. Lydia was patient and encouraging. William realized his cabin had become more than a building. It was a place people wanted to be. One Sunday after church, Jack asked, "When's Miss Lydia going to be our real mama?" William nearly choked on his coffee. That's complicated. Son, why you like her? She likes us. That's how it works, isn't it? Beth nodded vigorously. We need a mama. Pa, I forget what mama looked like sometimes, and it makes me sad. William's chest ached. Your mama would want you to remember her, and it's all right if Miss Lydia helps with that. So she's staying forever. Beth pressed. I hope so. Little bit. That night, after the children slept, William found Lydia on the porch despite the cold. She stared at the stars, arms wrapped tight. You all right? He asked. Your children asked me today if I'd be their mother. William went still. What did you say? That their mother was watching from heaven and would want them to be happy? Lydia's voice shook slightly. But William, I can't promise forever. Martin will come, and when he does, we'll face it. You keep saying that, but you don't know him. She turned, eyes fierce. He's respected, connected. If he brings the law, then we'll find another way. William moved closer. Do you want to leave? No. The word came fast. That's what terrifies me. I don't want to leave. I want... She stopped. Want what? This. The children. The teaching. Waking up somewhere I belong. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You. William's heart hammered. Lydia. I know it's too soon. I know I'm still promised to another man in the law's eyes. But I need you to know... She stopped, gathering courage. If I could choose freely, I'd choose this life, this family, you. William closed the distance between them. He took her face in his hands. Gentle. Then we make it so you can choose freely. How? I don't know yet, but we will. He wanted to kiss her, wanted it so badly his hands shook, but he stepped back instead, giving her space. When this is settled, he said quietly, when you're truly free, ask me then. Lydia's eyes shimmered with tears. Ask you what? To court you proper, because I want to do this right. She laughed, wet and wonderful. You're a good man, William Turner. Trying to be... Inside, Jack's voice rose in nightmare. They both moved instantly together, in sync. Lydia soothed the boy with soft words and cool hands. William watched from the doorway, something settling deep in his chest. This was right. Whatever came next. This was right. Later, lying in the loft, William stared at the ceiling. 4 weeks. It felt like she'd always been here, like his cabin had been waiting for her voice to fill it. He'd buried his heart with Sarah, thought that part of him was done. But maybe hearts could be buried and dug back up. Maybe second chances were real. Outside, the January wind sang cold promises. Inside, for the first time in 2 years, William Turner felt something dangerously close to joy. Martin Creedon arrived on a Tuesday. Lydia was teaching Beth at the table when hoofbeats sounded outside. She glanced up, then froze, even through the window. William saw her face drain white. He was outside instantly, positioning himself between the house and the rider. Martin Creedon was 40, well-dressed, riding a horse worth more than William's entire spread. His face was handsome and cold as winter stone. "Mr. Turner, I presume." Martin said, "No greeting. Pure business. You're on my land. Looking for my betrothed." Martin's eyes moved to the cabin. "Lydia Brennan, I understand she's here." What makes you think that her traveling bag was traced to the church?" The owner of the mercantile in town mentioned William Turner's new woman. Dark-haired, Eastern accent. "Nursing skills." Martin smiled without warmth. "Shall I continue?" William's jaw tightened. "State your business." "Simple. Lydia's father and I signed a contract. She's my promised wife. This arrangement ends now." The cabin door opened. Lydia stepped out, Jack and Beth behind her. "Don't," William said quietly, but Lydia moved past him, spine straight. "Martin." "There you are." Martin dismounted, brushing snow from his coat. "This has gone on long enough. Gather your things." "No." Martin's expression didn't change, but something dangerous flickered in his eyes. "I wasn't asking." "And I wasn't unclear. No. Your father. My father doesn't own me. Neither do you." Martin glanced at William. "Is this your doing, filling her head with ideas?" "She came here with those ideas already." William kept his voice level. "Lady's made her choice. Best you respect it." "Choice." Martin's laugh was sharp. "She's my betrothed. Legal contract. Her father's signature and mine. She doesn't get to choose." "I'm choosing anyway," Lydia said. Beth clutched Lydia's skirt. Jack stood rigid, fists clenched. Martin saw the children, saw Lydia's protective stance. His mouth thinned. "I see. Playing house with a widower and his brats." He stepped closer. "How domestic." "But contracts have consequences. Lydia, I have legal claim. You'll return with me now, or I'll bring the sheriff and force the issue." "Try it," William said quietly. Martin's eyes narrowed. "You're threatening me." "Stating fact. She's under my protection now. That trumps any paper you're carrying." "Protection?" Martin's tone dripped contempt. "You're harboring stolen property. When I return with the law, then we'll see what the law says about forcing women into marriages they don't want." Her father agreed. "Her father isn't here. She is. And she said no." Martin's control cracked slightly. "You have no idea who you're dealing with. I have connections. Money. I'll bury you in legal fees." "Bury away," William interrupted. "Won't change the answer." For a long moment, Martin stared at him. William held his ground, every muscle ready. Finally, Martin mounted his horse. "This isn't over," he said. "I'll return with papers. Sheriff, whatever's needed, you'll surrender her, Turner, or lose everything." He wheeled and rode off. The moment he disappeared, Lydia's knees buckled. William caught her. "I'm sorry," she gasped. "I'm so sorry. I should leave before he comes back." "No." William's arms tightened. "We're not doing this." "He'll destroy you, the ranch, your reputation. Let him try." "William, unpack," he said firmly. "We face this together." "How the law?" "There's law, and there's right. Sometimes they don't match. Jack was crying silently. Beth clung to Lydia's waist. That night, after the children finally slept, Lydia began packing her small bag. William found her in the dim lamplight, hands shaking as she folded her spare dress. "What are you doing?" "I won't let you lose everything for me." Her voice broke. "I'll go tonight. Head west like I planned." William took the dress from her hands. "Stop. He'll come back. You heard him. And when he does, we'll be ready." William set the dress aside. "But you're not running. Not anymore. You don't understand what he's capable of. And you don't understand what I'm capable of when someone threatens my family." William's voice was steel. "You're part of this family now. That means we protect each other." "Family," Lydia whispered. "Family." William confirmed. "You belong here, with us. And I'll be damned if I let some entitled bastard take you back to a life that'll break you." Lydia stared at him, tears streaming. "Why would you risk so much?" "Because my son prays every night that you'll stay. Because my daughter sleeps through nightmares when you're here. Because in 4 weeks, you've made my house a home again." He paused. "And because I can't imagine waking up and not finding you in my kitchen." "William, we'll figure this out. Together. But you have to trust me." Lydia sagged against him. He held her while she cried for fear and hope and the impossible tangle of both. "I want to stay," she whispered finally. "God help me. I want to stay so badly." "Then stay." She pulled back, wiping her eyes. "All right. But if he comes with the sheriff, we'll handle it." Neither of them slept much that night. William lay in the loft, mind racing through possibilities. All of them led to the same conclusion: Martin Creedon had to be stopped. Legally, if possible. But William would do what was necessary to protect what was his. And Lydia was his. Maybe not by law yet, but by every measure that mattered. The next evening, Preacher Davis arrived with 3 neighbors. William saw them coming at dusk, riding slow, deliberate. His hand moved to his rifle by instinct. "It's the preacher," Lydia said, peering out. "And the blacksmith? Mrs. Henderson?" "What?" They climbed the porch, stamping snow. The preacher spoke first. "May we come in?" William, "Of course," inside. The group filled the small space. Jack and Beth watched from the loft ladder, curious and frightened. "We heard Martin Creedon was here," Mrs. Henderson said. Her voice was gentle but firm. "Heard what he wants." William's jaw tightened. "News travels fast." "Small town." The blacksmith, Tom, shrugged. "And some of us remember Creedon from before. Saw how he treated that Mexican family he hired 2 summers back. Worked them half to death. Paid them nothing." "Man's got no character," the preacher added. "Just money and connections." "Why are you here?" Lydia asked quietly. Mrs. Henderson moved to her. "Because we've watched you these weeks, dear. Seen how you teach our daughters. How you've gentled this household. How those children smile now." She glanced at William. "And how William's come back to life. Martin has legal right," Lydia said. "My father's signature—" "Does a father's signature trump a woman's will?" the preacher asked. "That's the question. Law says yes," Tom said. "But there's ways around law." William straightened. "What are you suggesting?" The preacher smiled. "Marriage. If Lydia marries before Creedon returns, his claim dissolves. Her choice supersedes her father's contract." Silence filled the cabin. "Marry." Lydia's voice came small. "You're of age," the preacher continued. "Free to choose, if you and William were to wed properly. With witnesses, Creedon's contract becomes void. But that would trap William," Lydia started. Does it look like I feel trapped? William interrupted. Lydia stared at him. I was going to wait. William said quietly, do this proper. Court you right. But if marrying now keeps you safe? He moved closer. I'm willing. Question is, are you? You barely know me. I know enough. Know you saved my daughter's life. Know you've made my children laugh again. Know I wake up grateful you're here. His voice dropped. Know I'm half in love with you already. Lydia's breath caught. But it's your choice. William added, always. If you want to run west like you planned, I'll help you go. But if you want to stay, he swallowed hard. Stay, be my wife, not out of fear, but because it's what you want. The cabin was utterly silent, finally, from the loft. Jack's voice, please say yes. Miss Lydia. Beth's small echo, please. Lydia looked at the children, at the preacher and neighbors who'd come to help, at William, standing before her with his heart in his eyes. Yes, she whispered, then louder, yes, I'll marry you. Mrs. Henderson clapped. Tom grinned. The preacher pulled his book from his coat. Then let's do it now, he said, before Creedon comes back. They arranged it hastily. Mrs. Henderson produced a simple ring, her mother's. She said, the blacksmith and his wife stood as witnesses. Jack and Beth climbed down from the loft, solemn and wide-eyed. We're really going to be a family, Jack asked. We really are, William confirmed. The ceremony was brief but meaningful. William's hand shook slightly as he took Lydia's. Do you, William Turner, take this woman as your lawfully wedded wife? I do. Do you, Lydia Brennan? Take this man as your lawfully wedded husband. Lydia looked at William, at his weathered face, his gentle eyes, his absolute certainty. I do. By the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. William kissed her. Soft, sweet, full of promise. The neighbors cheered, Beth squealed, Jack whooped. Mrs. Henderson hugged Lydia. Welcome to the family, dear, the real family. They celebrated with what little they had, coffee and cornbread, but it felt like a feast. Later, after the neighbors left, William found Lydia on the porch despite the cold. Having regrets? He asked gently. The opposite. She turned, eyes shining. I was so afraid. And now I feel safe for the first time since my father told me I'd marry Martin. She took William's hand. Thank you for choosing me, for protecting me. Thank you for staying. They stood together, watching stars emerge. He'll still come, Lydia said quietly. Martin doesn't give up easily. Let him come. William's voice was calm. He'll find you're not his to take anymore. Jack appeared in the doorway. Pa, can I pray now? Of course, son. They gathered by the fire. Jack knelt, hands folded. Dear God, he said earnestly, thank you for hearing me when I asked for Mama Lydia. Thank you for making us a family. Please keep us safe. Amen. Amen. Beth echoed. William met Lydia's eyes across the flickering firelight. She was his wife now. His to protect. His to cherish. And he'd be damned if he let anyone take her away. Martin Creedon returned 3 days later with Sheriff Porter. William saw them coming at midday, 2 riders, official business in their bearing. He stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand but pointed down. Lydia appeared beside him instantly. William, stand close, he said quietly. But let me handle it. The riders reined up. Sheriff Porter looked uncomfortable. Martin looked triumphant. Mr. Turner, the sheriff said, I need to speak with you about Lydia Brennan. That's Lydia Turner now, William said calmly. My wife. As of 3 days ago. Martin went rigid. That's impossible. Preacher Davis married us. Tom Henderson and his wife witnessed, all legal and proper. The sheriff pulled out a paper. Mr. Creedon has a contract signed by Miss Brennan's father, Mrs. Turner's father. William corrected. And whatever he signed doesn't matter. She's of age. She chose. That's the law. Her father's contract isn't worth the paper it's printed on once she married someone else. William kept his voice level. Sheriff, you know the law. A woman's marital choice supersedes paternal contract. The sheriff looked between them. Finally, he's right. Creedon. That marriage is a sham, Martin snapped. Done to circumvent legal obligation. Done because I asked her and she said yes. William interrupted. And because I love her. That legal enough for you? Martin dismounted. His control was slipping. You think you've won, I'll have this marriage annulled. On what grounds? Lydia stepped forward. I'm of age. I consented. We've lived as husband and wife. Her voice was steady. I'm not your property. Martin, I never was. Your father gave his word that my father doesn't own me. Lydia's composure cracked. I am not a horse to be traded or a fence line to be negotiated. I'm a person, with wants and will and the right to choose my own life. You're hysterical. She's honest. William cut in. Which is more than you've been. Sheriff. Is there legal cause to separate a married couple? Sheriff Porter sighed. No. If they wed proper and both consented, there's no cause. This is ridiculous, Martin started. What's ridiculous? William said, voice hardening. Is a man who thinks a woman's no has to become yes if he pushes hard enough. He raised the rifle slightly. Not aimed, just visible. You rode onto my land to take my wife. I'm asking you politely to leave. If you come back... William's eyes were cold. I'll defend what's mine. Understand. Martin's face flushed dark. You're threatening me in front of the sheriff. I'm setting boundaries. There's a difference. The sheriff cleared his throat. Mr. Creedon, the law's clear here. She married Turner. Your contract's void. I suggest you accept that. I'll sue away. William said, won't change anything. She's my wife. This is her home, and you're not welcome here. For a long moment, Martin stared at them. Then at the neighbors emerging from houses down the road, curious. Protective. He saw he was outnumbered. Morally. If not legally. Fine. He spat. Keep her. But know what you're getting. Turner. A woman who breaks her word. Who runs from duty. A woman with enough courage to choose freedom over comfort. William corrected. I'd say I'm getting exactly what I want. Martin mounted his horse. You'll regret this. I doubt it. Martin wheeled away. The sheriff tipped his hat apologetically and followed. The moment they disappeared, Lydia collapsed against William. He held her, rifle still in one hand, wife trembling in his other arm. It's over, he murmured. You're safe now. He could still he won't. Men like him only push where there's no resistance. He found plenty of resistance. Jack and Beth burst from the cabin, wrapping around their legs. Did he take Mama Lydia? Beth asked, terrified. No, little bit. No one's taking her anywhere. Neighbors appeared Tom Henderson, Mrs. Davis, others. They'd been watching, ready to stand witness if needed. Well done, William, Tom said quietly. Mrs. Davis hugged Lydia. You're one of us now, dear, properly. The community stayed for coffee and support by the time they left. Lydia had stopped shaking. That night, the family gathered by the fire. Is he really gone? Jack asked. Really gone, William confirmed. Good. Jack leaned against Lydia. I like having a mama again. Me too, Beth added. Lydia's eyes filled, but she smiled. I like being your mama. Later, William and Lydia stood on the porch in the cold. I still can't quite believe it, she said. That I'm free. That this is real. It's real. William took her hand. You're my wife. This is your home. Those are your children. Your children. Ours. William corrected gently. If you'll have them. I'll have all of you. Lydia leaned into him. Thank you. For standing with me. For protecting me. That's what family does. She looked up at him. I love you, William Turner. He'd been waiting to hear those words, hoping for them. But hearing them still stole his breath. I love you too, he said roughly. More than I thought possible. They kissed under the winter stars, man and wife. Truly now, inside. The fire burned warm. Spring came early that year, by late February. Snow melted in rushing streams. Green pushed through frozen ground. Birds returned, singing territories. The Turner household bloomed too. Lydia planted seeds in window boxes, herbs first, then flowers. She taught reading 3 times a week now. Women came from town and outlying farms, hungry for knowledge. Beth learned her letters and numbers. Jack started helping William with ranch work, growing confident under his father's patient instruction. The cabin itself transformed. Curtains, rag rugs, a rocking chair William built for Lydia. Small touches that made a house into a home, one Sunday after church. Beth tugged Lydia's sleeve. Tell me about Mama again. They sat on the porch steps. William listened from inside, mending tack. Your mama loved you very much, Lydia said gently. She taught your brother to read and made bread every morning and sang hymns while she worked. Like you do. Like I try to. Lydia smiled. She'd be proud of you. Both of you. Do you think she's happy you're here? I think she'd want your father to be happy. And you children to be cared for. So yes, I think she's happy. Beth leaned against her. I'm glad God sent you. William's chest tightened. He'd worried, those first weeks, that loving Lydia meant betraying Sarah's memory. But Sarah would have wanted this. Would have wanted her children raised with gentleness and her husband not to die inside from loneliness. That evening, Jack prayed before supper. Thank you, God, for Mama Lydia and Pa and Beth and for making us whole. Amen. Whole. William looked around his table, his son and daughter healthy, his wife serving stew. Lamplight warm on their faces. They were whole. Later. After children slept. William and Lydia sat by the fire. Do you ever regret it? He asked. Staying marrying me. Lydia looked up from her mending. Not once. Do you? Not even a little. He set his work aside. I was half alive before you came, just going through motions. Now. He gestured at the cabin, the sleeping children above. Now I remember what living feels like. Lydia moved to sit beside him. I thought I was running to nowhere, just escape. But I was running toward something. Toward home. This is home. William agreed. For all of us, they sat in comfortable silence, watching flames dance outside. An owl called. Spring wind whispered promises through the eaves. Tell me the story, Lydia said softly. About how we met. William smiled. Once upon a time, there was a blizzard, and a father desperate to save his daughter, and a woman running from a life that would have killed her spirit. And whilst they found shelter in an abandoned church on Christmas Eve, strangers snowed in together. What happened then? The woman saved the daughter's life. The father offered protection. The children prayed for her to stay. William took Lydia's hand. And God answered. He did, Lydia whispered. He really did. They sat together as the fire burned low. Outside, snow melted in steady drips, winter releasing its grip, spring arriving gentle and sure. The church where they'd met stood empty again, miles away, but it had served its purpose. Shelter for the lost, sanctuary for the hunted, place where a family was born. Inside the Turner cabin, lamplight glowed warm. Smoke rose from the chimney. Through the window, you could see them husband and wife, sitting close, building their future one quiet evening at a time. William Turner had been half dead from grief. Lydia Brennan had been running for her life, but 3 days snowed in with strangers changed everything. Now they were home. Now they were whole. Now they were family. And sometimes, on clear nights when the children slept and the world was quiet, you could hear them soft laughter, gentle conversation, the sound of two broken people healing each other. The wind carried it across the valley like a promise love wins, family endures, and prayers spoken by innocent hearts are always heard.